In 1854, the Crimean War intensified after Britain and France declared war on Russia on March 28th. The great powers realized that Russia sought power in the region, and its intervention would bring the war to a whole new level. In the Balkans, conflict began with the siege of Caliphate following the Battle of Sitate. Russian forces, numbering about 40,000, surrounded the fortified Ottoman position of Caliphate, defended by 30,000 troops. The siege, which lasted from February to May, was unsuccessful for the Russians, who suffered heavy casualties and disease outbreaks. Shortly after, the siege of Silistria commenced. In late March, Russian troops crossed the Danube and began besieging the well-defended town of Silistria in early April. The Ottomans, with a 12,000-strong garrison, faced 40,000 Russians under Field Marshal Ivan Paskovich. Although the Ottomans lost their garrison commander Musa Pasha in battle, they were aided by several foreign officers. Despite planning a major assault, the Russians were ordered by Tsar Nicholas I to retreat due to diplomatic pressure and the threat of Austrian intervention. The Battle of Giurgiu followed, where Ottoman commander Omar Pasha led his troops to the north bank of the Danube and began attacking Giurgiu on July 3rd. Intense hand-to-hand combat occurred on nearby islands. Russian Lieutenant General Fyodor Soimenov ordered a retreat to Pritisti, and although there were plans to ambush the Ottomans, attention shifted to Crimea, leading Prince Gorchakov to withdraw Russian forces. Although the immediate cause of war was resolved, Western European nations pressed for continued military engagement. In September, a massive Allied fleet of 360 ships landed at Kalamata Bay, surprising Russian forces and setting the stage for the Battle of Alma. At Alma, many Allied soldiers were weakened by Column, yet they marched and engaged Russian forces entrenched on high ground. The British crossed the Alma River under heavy fire, and with the advantage of deadly mini-rifles, overwhelmed the Russian positions. The Russians fled, suffering around 6,000 casualties compared to the Allies' 4,000. Despite the opportunity, the Allies chose not to pursue the retreating Russians, opting instead to move south and begin the siege of Sevastopol on October 17th. One of the most famous events of the war, the Battle of Balaklava, took place shortly after. At dawn, Russian forces attacked and captured several redoubts. The British held firm in part due to the Thin Red Line, a formation of two rows of infantry under Commander Colin Campbell that repelled Russian cavalry. Later, the charge of the Heavy Brigade saw British cavalry attack up, inflicting about 300 Russian casualties while losing only 100 men. However, the most infamous moment was the charge of the Light Brigade, which resulted from a miscommunication. At 11 a.m., the Light Brigade advanced directly into Russian artillery. Over half were killed or wounded in a brutal 20-minute melee. Though a Russian tactical victory, they failed to take Balaklava, and the Allies remained entrenched, albeit confined to a smaller area. The Battle of Increment followed on November 4th. Russian commander Menshikov launched a surprise attack, aiming to defeat the Allies before reinforcements could arrive. British Major General John Pennefather, with just 3,000 men, boldly ordered counterattack against the 15,000-strong Russian force. Effective British artillery and aggressive tactics stalled the Russians. Russian General Soimenov delayed attacking the vulnerable British 2nd Division while waiting for reinforcements, a missed opportunity. Leadership chaos plagued the Russian 10th Division, with multiple commanders killed in action. Eventually, French reinforcements arrived and helped repel Russians, who suffered 12,000 casualties to the Allies fewer than 5,000. After this, harsh winter conditions and failing supplies brought an end to major ground operations. In the Caucasus, after the Ottoman defeat at the Battle of Bastardiklar, Zarif Pasha replaced the Ottoman commander. Russian General Aristov pushed Ottoman forces back in the battles of Nagodi and Kolodi, culminating in the Battle of Kurekir on August 4th. Although European General Guyan recommended a daytime attack, Zarif Pasha insisted on a poorly organized night march. Russian dragoons attacked during Ottoman disarray, causing panic and a quick collapse. The Ottoman troops fled to Kars in disorganized retreat, but the Russians chose not to pursue, foreshadowing the later siege of Kars. This battle exposed the Ottomans' inability to retake Transcaucasian territory, and no further significant actions occurred in the region that year. In the Black Sea theater, following the Battle of Sinop, Anglo-French naval forces entered the sea and quickly established dominance. They maintained control over the entire Black Sea for the duration of the war, ensuring naval superiority and cutting off Russian maritime operations. Now there you have it. That is the end of my video on the Crimean 1864, and make sure to subscribe and like to get part 4.